Hi folks, my name is Michael Flaherty, and I'm an artist from Newfoundland and Labrador, currently teaching at the University of Regina. I'm a potter and a sculptor, but I also work with ceramics in experimental ways, using performance, video, and photography. I'd like to take a few moments just to tell you about my work. The piece I've created for the People's Choice Award is a framed wall work. There are two sculptures in the frame, each one a fragment of a teapot attached to a ceramic caribou antler. These are sculptures of the types of objects I find during my travels to abandoned communities along the coast. I make these recreated artifacts and physically fuse them together, creating compositions where surfaces, forms, and imagery interact. So perhaps a little background information will help explain why I make these things and what they're about. This work, and others that I've made like it, actually have their origin with a performance project I did a few years ago. For that work, I spent 3 months living alone in an abandoned community on a remote island off the north coast of Newfoundland. The performance involved building and firing a wood kiln while documenting my time as the only living inhabitant of the community. The kiln I made was a sort of conceptual exercise. I inverted the design of the kiln so that it was, in effect, inside out, and therefore contained the entire island within it. When I fired the kiln, I was, in a conceptual sense, firing the island, thereby placing an entire landmass into the context of ceramics. But that project turned into so much more than I intended. It took on historical and anthropological meaning as I began to understand this place where I was living. I was captivated by the artifacts I found, piles of mossy gray planks that used to be homes, headstones where you could still read the inscribed names and dates, pottery shards scattered on the beaches, and caribou antlers shed in the brush. For me, these artifacts reveal so much about Newfoundland history. Rural decline, the demise of the fishery, and the reclaiming of these areas by nature. In particular, it speaks of the era of resettlement, where tens of thousands of Newfoundlanders were removed from their homes, often coercively, and resettled to larger communities. I have since visited many remote abandoned places in Newfoundland, and the pottery shards and other ceramic bits are always the most enduring feature. I like to gather them, assemble and rearrange them into temporary sculptures, and then allow the ocean to wash back over them. History can be so painfully literal, so I try to keep the narrative in my work to a minimum, instead focusing on the symbolic and the iconic. Nothing tells the history of Newfoundland quite like a broken pot tossed into the sea and taken away by the tide. Thanks for watching my video. I hope you like my work and that I get your vote in the competition.